We have a special battle, the return of the card game battles to the Black Tide channel. We are doing Yellow Turles from Saiyan Showdown versus Blue Paikuhan that came out a few sets ago that revolves around using Gogeta's from the Janemba saga. Both decks have been updated as far as Ultimate Squad or have a funky twist to them, like you might see the old Vegeta engine being put in to the deck, so it's Vegeta and Gogeta team up deck in some ways. The Yellow Turles deck, in my personal opinion, is one of the most slept on decks of the format. Just having a unison that can constantly build up markers is so useful for the Empower later on in the game, as well as the fact that Yellow just has so many incredible staples, as well as the fact that Turles in itself can play with its own life, or free play from its own life, so it's really strong. It's really slept on in my personal opinion, and you can see in this battle why. Obviously Paikuhan's not the antithesis, the top of the pyramid of great decks for the format, but Paikuhan does offer a lot in the way of the fact that a lot of players don't know what this deck does or how it plays. It's blue decks are always tough to be able to finish off because of their constant able to reactivate their energy and counter. Most strong blue decks will also be able to have a large hand size full of negates and be able to drag the game into the latter round, so you always have to be switched on when playing against blue and sequence your turns correctly. But in my personal opinion, yellow is probably the strongest color still, and it's been the strongest color for a while. But you can see now the Frieza and Cell teamwork in hell, or match made in hell, unisons on the board as 4 markers. It's a solid unison that was made for this deck. You see also being played in blue Vegeta's competitive strategy. A lot of players play that unison, but in Turles you get to start off with your own unison, unlike the green Turles deck, which this deck is kind of an evolution of. You get unison instead, which is far more powerful because you get to keep adding counters and you get to keep flipping your life. When your life is at 3 or less, or not life, when you're 3 face up life, you get to awaken, which makes this deck really feel like it belongs in with the King Piccolo. Funny enough, Green Turles was the deck that came out with King Piccolo and Dark Broly and the Yellow Frieza deck and stuff like that. But this deck kind of feels like it belongs in last year's format in terms of the way the deck plays, but the deck is still strong. I'm not saying it's outdated. King Piccolo, even though with the ban you still see it topping, and I just genuinely believe this deck is so heavily slept on because of the fact that the engine is so tiny. You can fit all of the yellow staples in. It provides an extra level of support in the fact that you can put your All Too Easy into your life because it's a Crusher Core card, and allows you to be able to then combo from your life, which I saw Eggman's profile and he was mostly just playing yellow staples. There was no Crusher Cores. I thought that was kind of a mistake because of the fact that if you can stick a Crusher Core in your life and you have this dude right here that you're seeing, Lakashir or something, you can play him and then he gets you out a blocker, which is very good in a deck that can already produce a lot of negates. It's just more frustration for your opponent, harder for him to be able to break your defense down, and essentially allows you to play the game at your own pace. As you can see, I get essentially a free blocker out just by using the Crusher Cores, and it's the deck draws so many cards so easily. You get a rather large hand size pretty quick, so you should see the Crusher Cores, and it's absolutely not needed. Like, it's not your whole strategy is not dependent on you seeing them, but it's such a huge benefit just to be able to keep adding blockers to your opponent, as well as it can be used just for extra combo power when you want to go for that killer blow. The also thing that this deck is slept on is the fact that you get to Spirit Boost out a Fruit of the Tree of Might, which gives it essentially acts as a even more powerful version of Cell's Out Destroying Kamehameha, or the Ultra Instinct Kamehameha and stuff like that. You know those cards. It's kind of belongs in that category, but a little bit more powerful in the fact that you get double strike out of it. So It's insanely aggro, but you can play mid-range, you can keep your opponent at distance. It's got so much utility, it's got so many ways you can play. You can kind of approach any battle the way you want with this Turles deck. I genuinely think that the lid for this deck is super high. But obviously there's more testing to be done with it. The fact that you can play a robotic riposte, which is a turn ender for a lot of players. They don't want to just needlessly rest their resources just for a swing that probably might not go through, especially when you look at your opponent's hand size. You don't want to weaken your next or put yourself in a bad position on the defense step. You can see there that the unison is at 6 counters at the moment. So yeah, if I were to then empower out the SS2 Gohan Z Fighter, which is, I think that and the Piccolo, which I'm not playing the Piccolo Gohan who found my SCR in this deck. I would highly recommend that you do play it though. Although the Super 17 SCR is incredible as well. It's just as good as the Pan SCR, except it's just exclusive to yellow decks. So that's why you only ever see Super 17 or you know, now Newfound Might's probably taking its place just because it's actually a busted card. But getting back to the battle here, you've also got, well, actually, scratched as well, this deck pulls out a lot of battle cards. You can see at the moment I have 2, 2, 3 and 3, so that's 10 right there. If I get another battle card with 2 or more, I can, with a cost of 2 on the field, I could, if I was playing Cell Zeno, I could 6S'er him out on the next turn, so long as I got another battle card out on the field. I don't run him, I'm running the Super 17 SCR, but it's also just another SCR I could run if I want to go more heavy aggro. So as I'm saying, like, the more I talk about this deck, the just more and more ways you can play this deck. You can go for your kill turn 5, or you can try and hold your opponent at a distance and pick them off slowly but surely. So yeah, I think this deck kind of offers everything in that way. It's incredibly strong. At the moment, you can kind of see the huge power gap. Even though both leaders are 5 life and have, you know, large hand sizes and have a few battle cards on the field, I personally feel like I've never felt I was in danger against Paikuhan. I didn't think it really was getting much. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. Out comes the boss monster for Paikuhan, and this card is super buff, but because of Poutine being out on the field, I don't know how this card is still allowed. Poutine's an absolute menace. So Gogeta comes out and bounces cards back to my hand. That card is super tough, but because of Poutine's ability, it switches straight to rest mode, so it's pretty much a non-factor. Yeah, yellow, because of simply Poutine, makes yellow so strong, so difficult to deal with. Unless you're playing something like Red Bulma that just is pretty much an impenetrable wall. You know, this deck is so strong. Would I put up against Vegeta Trunks? You know, I still have to do more testing with it. I think SS2 Gohan Z Fighter makes yellow decks, especially this deck, run so much more smoother. So yeah, I think this is definitely a contender that people are not talking about, as I've said probably 3 or 4 times now. You're probably getting sick of me saying it. But there's just so many great things about the deck, and the fact that you get to utilize the Tree of Might through the leader ability. You have a unison that gets to start on, if you're going second, it starts on 3 markers. Your SS4 Vegeta's alive turn 1. The Prideful Transformations. The fact that you get to use Steadfast Assistant, it's a yellow Saiyan leader, so it gets to use All Too Easy, and well, All Too Easy was made for this deck in mind as Crush Your Core, and you know, it's just an absolute menace to deal with. And obviously, while Poutine's around and powered of Super Saiyan, like any deck that's a yellow Saiyan that does a lot of drawing is just an absolute menace in the meta at the moment, because of how many great yellow staples there are and how many great ways there are to bring out Poutine. I put my unison, I told my unison to gain a marker, and then I did the -3 again. So you can see how powerful the SS2 Unison is. And the fact Turles all too easy isn't a once per turn is just busted, because I could just, I was able to get rid of so many things and draw cards. Just getting rid of a card in rest mode really sets my opponent's back, and his boss monster didn't have any protection, so Paikuhan really taking the L on that one, and the game is really swapped in terms of, you could 2 turns ago it looked kind of in the balance, but now you can clearly see that Turles all too easy is taking a huge lead on Paikuhan. Obviously, DragonBall, any situation you can kind of turn around, and the life isn't too far behind, but with the amount of counterplays and negates and responses that Turles has, out comes the SS3 Goku with a crit. Yeah, I forgot to put the SS2 Gohan back into active mode because it has a triple attack at the moment. Obviously block that, and ending turn I put the Gohan into active mode because he has blocker. I kind of felt like I didn't have any blockers on the field at the time, so I just thought to myself, obviously I have Steadfast and I have the SS4 Vegeta in hand and Robotic Repose, so I was doing just fine, but I wasn't going to kill him with that one hit. Didn't want to give him that extra life, and thought an extra blocker is just fine. I brought the Steadfast Assistance so that Tapion's played in rest mode, and already you're kind of seeing like the big power play is not going through. The frustration for Paikuhan, it wants to do stuff, adds the SS4 Vegeta to hand, not SS4 Vegeta, sorry, the Vegeta Super Combo gets added to Paikuhan's hand, so that will obviously be very useful. The fact that you can search out a Super Combo is always strong. Swinging in with the Unison. But yeah, Paikuhan is probably a deck that is another negate. So now if Paikuhan were to attack on this turn, it would have to rest 2 cards, which it could. It's got a lot of energy active. You never know what the strategy is going to be, but or what way you're going to take this, but at the moment things aren't particularly in the greatest place for Paikuhan, that's for sure. It does have board presence, still has a big hand on field, so it's pretty strong. He did manage to remove the SS2 Gohan Z Fire, so there's no Unison on board, so that makes the SS4 Vegeta Prideful Transformation card a dead card. Yeah, out goes the Tapion, that was in rest mode. Turles all too easy got played, and again, incredibly strong card. Probably one of the best boss monsters in the yellow deck because it's only a tap 2, and it's got double strike, and you can draw a card or blow up 2 cards in rest mode. I'm going in for the swing with the lead, going to super combo. At this very moment in time I had no Unisons in hand, and I just really wanted to find a Unison so some of my plays can go live. I wanted to use the Fruit of the Tree of Might. I was hoping to be able to do that on my turn, but you need a Unison to Spirit Boost for it. And I just couldn't find. Obviously I'd charged a Unison in the Ramusu, the Elephant God, and 2 of my Gohan Unisons went to the drop there when I got removed, and the Tree of Might obviously went to the drop too, so that I'm really looking for one of the Elephant Gods or the other 2 SS2 Gohans that are currently in my deck and or my life. I don't know if I've revealed all my life yet, but yeah, because you can see that Goku is in my life at the moment, or not my life, my hand, so I'll be able to bring that out. It's a pretty strong card, but I end up putting it back just because I have no Unison in hand, so there's no point having it in hand. I maybe should have put one of the Frieza army back into the thing just because you can't combo with the negate, but I wasn't sure if I could finish the thing off this turn. You can see at the moment I'm swinging for game, he's comboing everything. You can see the huge amount of cards I comboed. I'm now swinging with Frieza again. Out comes another Turles all too easy. I'm going to go swing. you know, Paikuhan does a lot of blue cards in hand, so you kind of wonder if he can combo through this. So attacking with Turles all too easy, that's a 35k combo. Another super combo from Paikuhan, that goes up to 25, 30, 35. Obviously, he manages to get out of it, and then down comes Super 17. There's just, it would be crazy if they could get through this. So I'm comboing off the Poutine because there's no other cards in my hand. I have no other energy active.